All right, so we left off talking about the great Freddie King, and as a guitar player, I'm curious about some other guitar players that you worked with. Tell us about the great Bill Jennings.
Bill Jennings. Yeah, he was from Indiana, I believe.
Yeah.
And he was like a mystery man. He came in the studio one day and Sid introduced me to him and said, "You're going to make an album with this great guitarist. And I've heard of him. I've heard of him when I was in New York. So
Yeah.
I knew he was a great guitar player. And we just started playing like he was playing on a gig. Tell you what key and tell you what he wanted, and didn't bug you about it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to accept your rendition of what he was trying to do.
Right, right.
And we had some good musicians. One of the guys was his brother, and before you knew it, we had enough to make an album out of.
Yeah, once again, nothing overcooked,
Yeah.
pretty spontaneous and
And
natural.
Gene Red, who was one of the A&R men over King Records, he was the A&R man that day for that recording. Gene Red was a beautiful musician, had an ear for all types of music.
Yeah,
So it was just a good session,
yeah.
good feeling. We didn't have to go over the tunes 10, 15, 20 times, because that was common,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because not to knock the musician's ability, but maybe the sound wasn't right,
Right.
Anything would happen. So all those things have to work in conjunction with each other to get a good recording. So I feel very fortunate that we did.
Yeah. And you say Bill was a left-handed player? I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah. That looks funny.
Well, it looks like you record a lot with him, at least
Yeah.
5 tracks or so,
Yeah.
some real classics. And,
Yeah.
I was curious about him because even with modern guitar players, he's kind of regained some popularity and still revered as one of the greats.
Yeah.
Um,
I saw him performing in New York before I came out to Cincinnati.
yeah.
So that was like a dream come true. I saw him perform in New York and then come to Cincinnati and get a chance to record with him.
Right on.
Great.
Right on. And you recorded with some of the most legendary piano players and vocalists of all time, one being the great Charles Brown. And
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I know you recorded some classic
yeah.
Christmas material with him. And
Yeah.
so what was it like working with Charles?
To begin with, he was the kind of guy always telling jokes,
Yeah.
know. And he had his stuff together, though. Yeah, he's the most fluid piano player of that style that I've heard. Had a good feeling, and he worked with for a while with I can't think of the guy's name now. It'll come to me though. But
Right.
he worked with another piano player or organist, and they worked the clubs together. But he stayed in the Cincinnati area for a long time.
Yeah.
One of the reasons being that at that time there was gambling across the river.
Newport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Newport and Covington, and Charlie Brown, as they used to call him, loved to gamble. So he got in hock to he got in hock to everybody.
Yeah.
So to the casino owners and record owners and everybody. But that didn't hurt his soul. He still had that big soul, and when he recorded, it was always a hit because he had that style.
Oh, yeah.
He's
It's classic. Yeah, he was a huge influence on Ray Charles. I know Ray practically, copied his style verbatim, or at least borrowed it for a minute before he found his own voice.
That's
but,
right.
But so you were on "Please Come Home for Christmas."
Yeah, the whole Christmas album.
Oh, the whole Christmas album.
It was beautiful, and like every time they play it around the Christmas holidays, I get angry because I didn't make any of that money, and somebody's Gene Red wrote "Please Come Home for Christmas,"
Okay.
and he was the A&R man.
He's a king guy.
He played too. There's one tune on there. I think it's "Please Come Home for Christmas," where they play a gong for 4 beats
At the beginning of the tune.
Yeah. Gene Redder's doing that.
I was gonna ask you about who played that.
He brought that. He came up with the idea. It was his project, and he brought the gong into the studio. And Sid Nathan wanted to know what he was going to do with that, you know. So he said, "I want to play it." And he just said, "Don't worry, it's going to work." And it worked. It was beautiful.
I hope he didn't get all the royalties just for that gong.
No, he got it for Charlie Brown's voice and the musicians.
Yeah. So he put that all together. Well, that's tragic that you didn't reap any of the monetary benefits off there.
Every once in a while, I get a check from Japan or France.
I know that tune's been used in countless movies and
they play all that stuff.
It's a gorgeous track. I mean, it's a feeling of Christmas.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of other. I don't know if you've heard the rest of the tunes on that album, but they're all great.
Yeah.
There's some up-tempo things on there.
They've been covered a lot as well over the years.
And some good musicians, and they're playing real nice on there.
Is it? I think we may have touched on this session earlier. I think this is where you guys did you set up in a circle around one microphone sort of setup. And Charles had his own mic maybe, but you guys were all in a circle.
Yeah. And we just played normally, you know.
Yeah.
We because I played some sessions over King Records where I don't think I was overplaying, but the drums were just too loud, so they would put me in the shell for that session. You know, I couldn't see anything. I just had to put earphones on. That's a funny feeling.
Yeah, it's unnatural and but this session sounds like it was almost like you guys were playing a gig. It was like a live setup.
Right.
So another piano great, vocal great I have here is Amos Milbourne.
Oh, that's the name I was trying to...
Oh, they worked with Charles. Yeah, okay, well, that ties right in.
They were a duo-like, you know?
All right. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, whenever he came down here, he would have Amos with him, you know?
Yeah.
And they played together all the time. Sometimes 2 pianos, sometimes an organ and piano. Amos would play the organ, you know, and they cleaned up around here. They were always working around here.
Double Trouble. I know Amos was a big influence on Fats Domino, but you worked with him as well. It looks like.
And that was it was great recording with them because it was always a good feeling, a lot of fun. You know, everybody telling jokes in between cuts.
Loose.
Nobody worried about the music.
You knew it was gonna be there.
It was great.
It's incredible. You worked with Roy Brown as well?
I did some things with Roy Brown, but since I don't have a record of it, I don't know what it was. But
you played on so much stuff; it's got to be hard to recall everything.
Yeah.
But
I wish I could tell you something. I'm aware of him, but I don't recall what I did.
That's all right. I was curious too about if you played at all with Ivory Joe Hunter.
Yeah.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
One of my personal favorites.
I forgot about him. I worked with him live too in New York.
Oh, okay. In New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at a theater. You know, we played Apollo Theater a lot.
Yeah.
With Bradshaw. So we would play, back up a lot of artists. And he was one of them.
Yeah. I know he had a hit with Since I Met You Baby later on.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of the top blues singers and players, really.
Yeah. Organ-wise, I had that you worked a little bit with Hank Marr.
Oh, yeah. Quite a bit.
Yeah, great organ player.
He was on the on the staff over there for a while.
Oh, okay. Because he's from Ohio originally.
Columbus.
Columbus, yeah.
In fact, he was teaching up there for a long time. And I remember I was recommended for some award. And I went up there to join him, and Wilbert Longmire was on it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was somebody else. But we all went up and played a theater up there in Columbus.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I remember about him. And then at King Records, he was very valuable.
Yeah.
Play over there. He did a lot of things.
Session work as well
yeah.
as his own thing.
Yeah.
One more vocal group I want to touch on was the Five Royals.
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of their music, and I know they started as a gospel group and moved over to the R&B side.
Yeah.
But you played on
right.
several recordings with them as well.
Mm-hmm. I did a lot of recording with when they switched, they start calling them doo-wop groups, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of groups. Five Keys, the Royals, like you mentioned. Oh, God. But I don't have a record of those.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to...
the main thing I have a record of is the Midnighters, you know.
Yeah.
And they changed their name,
yeah.
too. They were something else there for a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure
that?
I'm not sure their other name. But yeah, you worked with a lot of vocal groups. I also saw Billy Ward and the Dominoes.
Yeah. Maybe they're the ones that changed their names. But there was one group that after I think the lead singer either passed away or quit or something.
Yeah. The
name was changed, either on the Dominoes or the other group you mentioned. It's going back many years.
It's okay. Hey, we'll dig in as far as we can. Yeah, I've been familiar with Billy Ward for a few years now in the Dominoes, and I know Jackie Wilson was part of that group for a moment. Yeah. I don't know if you remember him hanging around the studio or.
I played. I was working when I first came to. I was working downtown doing something. Anyway, some guy came running and he was promoting a concert out to the Gardens.
Yeah.
And the singer you just mentioned.
Oh, Jackie, yeah.
Yeah,
Jackie.
he was the star, and they didn't have a drummer. Something happened to the drummer, so he begged me. He said, "Phil, you got to help me here." So whoever I was working with, they understood. And they said, "Yeah, man, go ahead." So I went out to the Gardens and played with Jackie Wilson.
Hey.
That was an experience.
Added to the book or movie, you know.
Got through the gig, and the young girls came running up, all like to tear me apart. With all the musicians, that was that era where they would.
That was an aspect of the gig, I guess. Oh man, yeah. Billy Ward. I have a recording. It's of Elvis Presley, and he's at Sun Studios with Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins. They call it the $1 Million Quartet session, although Johnny Cash isn't there. It's really a trio. And he goes on for a half hour about Billy Ward because I guess he had recently seen him in Vegas.
Oh, yeah?
And he's almost obsessive about it. He won't stop talking about how great he is. And he goes, I guess because Billy came out and he did a cover of Don't Be Cruel.
Uh-huh.
And Elvis talks about, he was like, it was so good he had to hide under the table. It was just like put him to shame.
Yeah.
And he's almost wearing the other guys in the studio out about the story. He just won't stop. Like, you got to hear this guy, You were on, King started... Really, it seems like Sid Nathan started out almost primarily a hillbilly, although he didn't like that term. He didn't like using it. He thought that was demeaning. So country.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of country artists on King at first, Grandpa Jones, leader of Hee Haw fame, and you recorded with several of these people, Cowboy Copas, Hackshaw Hawkins,
in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wise guy, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he when I came in, Sid Nathan said, Copas, he said, I want you to introduce Philip Paul. He's my drummer here, and he's gonna be your drummer. So Cowboy Copas looked at me like I was, what is this? This black guy is gonna play with us, you know. So,
oh really? Yeah.
Anyway, I looked at him. I didn't say anything because I said, I know here comes some problems, you know. Sid stood there and he just waiting for one of us to say something. so Cowboy Copas said, hey boy, what you gonna do? So I said, oh, there it is. I said, well, what you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So Cowboy Copas said, we're gonna play this little ditty here and see if you could catch up or something like that, you know. So he started playing, you know, kind of a fast thing. I don't know what the hell is that. But I've heard it before, you know, because in New York I worked with all kinds of people.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
I had
it's a melting pot there.
They call
so
you for all kinds of gigs. And
you're ready for anything.
So I picked up a stick and a brush, and I played that little rim shot and did this, you know, like that, something like that. And Cowboy Copas looked at it, he said, oh, boy, that sounds pretty good.
I'm sure he did.
I told him, hey, man, and stop calling me boy, please, will you?
You taught him a lesson.
Like he said, all right, boy. I said, I'm not going to be able to teach him anything today. Well. And we made the recording, and it came out good.
And those were hits as well. So.
And that's what lit a fire in Sid's mind. Well, I got a backlog of country records here without drums.
Without drums, yeah. And so you overdubbed on a lot of the country stuff.
Yeah, so Sid Nathan said, I got a job for you. I want. He said it may take a long time, but I want you, anytime you got some time and you want to work on it, just let me know. So I said, we can start right now. So and he played a number of country tunes. And I think I listened to it, and I came up with a beat for it. And
because I wonder about overdubbing back then, because I imagine they weren't recording to a click or a metronome.
No.
So you just had to fall into their pocket and whatever feel they had.
Yeah. It was difficult.
Yeah.
Because the tempo went up and down.
Up and down.
And I couldn't drag them and bring them into the tempo I was playing. I had to go with them, you know. Yeah. So, but it worked. And Sid thanked me for that.
I bet.
Yeah, he was elated with that.
Yeah, it's your legacy transcends jazz, blues, R&B. It's in much broader terms that it's American music, really world music. But
I didn't realize at that time I was just trying to do a job.
Yeah.
I didn't think about historic.
Yeah.
Whatever I was doing was a feather in my cap.
I wanted to ask if when this stuff is going down, whether it be with Bonnie Lou or Freddie King, did you know it was classic? Did you
No,
practically all of this is classic and timeless music.
It was.
It
was.
What do you attribute? What do you think makes this music so enduring and timeless that you played on?
Maybe because of my being on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I'm with you there.
Yeah, because like Sid was, he was very. He didn't allow any discrimination, and he would promote you. If until it came time for some money being involved, but he would promote you
Yeah.
as far as talent. He after that he said, Phil, I'd like for you to do something for me. He said, you've already done a lot, but I want you. Would you go to conservatory? I said, sure.
Yeah.
So he paid for me to go to conservatory for 2 years.
Okay.
And I studied with Ed Weebo, who was the timpanist over with the symphony at that time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think I read somewhere that he ended up picking your brain more than you picked his, baby, because he wanted to know about jazz playing. Yeah, so
he wanted to know
he went to your conservatory in the end.
He wanted to know about the bossa nova, you know. But I learned a lot from him.
Yeah, and you have a point. What makes these recordings so enduring is the fact that you're on them, and you know, I was thinking about how a lot of the players and session players, including yourself, that were on these recordings, came from more of a, you know, jazz, swing, big band, you know, background, and that brought I think a higher standard and musicality to the rock and roll, pop, R&B stuff, you know, than say the kind of session players you get now. You guys had a deeper background you were coming from, and I think that's what I think helped make.
You know, because I was still a jazz drummer.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And here I'm playing in different genres. You know.
Yeah.
And it's accepted, and it's my own interpretation of the music.
Right.
I think that had a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, I was. There's a quote from Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones, and he says, "Everyone talks about rock these days. The problem is they forgot about the roll." You know, it's kind of like all that great early rock and roll and R&B. It all had that element of swing to it.
Yeah.
And that's what you brought to the table.
That's right.
And made all these, you know, whether it was country or whether it was, you know, Freddie King, it all had that element.
Are you gonna write this in your name?
Oh, me and you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because I like what you just said. Nobody's said that before. But
I think about it. I think about it a lot, just in regards to music, you know, because a lot of the modern rock and roll doesn't have the swing element that it had in the early days. What, you know, even you know, in the Chuck Berry stuff and there's another blues drummer. I think Fred Below.
Who's?
Fred Below, I think, is how you pronounce it. He played on a lot of chess recordings. And I read a little bit about him, and it seemed like he came from a little bit of a jazz background too. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what made the blues stuff so good that he played on, or that, you know, any of that. So I wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, I
that
watch
aspect
the audience now when I'm playing, and I've made the remarks to you about when I'm playing, if I don't see people like drumming their fingers or patting their foot. If I don't see that happening, I'm not playing well at all, because I'm not getting through to them.
I hear you.
You know, even though they're doing that unconsciously.
Yeah.
You know, I expect them to keep time like that.
Yeah.
You know, I know I got them when they're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, the country stuff I want to touch on, Bonnie Lou and Hackshaw Hawkins. Yeah, and it's, Hackshaw Hawkins and Cowboy Copas, they were with Patsy Cline. That tragedy. Country-wise, I know Hank Williams recorded in Cincinnati, but he was at, I think, Herzog.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious what a typical day would be like there. Was it a 9 to 5? Were you going in the morning, or was it kind of whenever Sid called you up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what happened. When I came down here to join Tiny Bradshaw, I had no idea that he was on the contract to King. He didn't tell me that. See? But he his idea, wanted to change the sound of his group. He wanted to polish it a little bit instead of have the way Eagle Eye played. It was loud, backbeat,
Yeah.
and it didn't swing much. It was loud.
A little more on the rigid side, yeah.
And Bradshaw wanted a smoother because he wanted a little more jazzier sound. I didn't know that, but when we were playing at the Cotton Club, after about 2 weeks, he said, "I think we're going into the studio now, going to do some recording." I said, "What?"
And was that your first experience going to a studio?
No,
or
I
you'd already
recorded on Decca in New York. With
was
big band.
With Buddy?
Yeah, Buddy Johnson.
Buddy Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd already experienced the studio.
And I didn't know that. I forgot all about the recording with Buddy Johnson, but when I went up to the Hall of Fame to do an interview, they came out with this record. And the lady that was introducing, who was interviewing me, she said, "Philip, you remember this?" I said, "No."
They dug deep.
She said, "Your name's on it." Anyway, he said, "Yeah, we're going to the studio. In fact, we're going. This is Sunday, and we played a matinee." He said, "We're going to go in tomorrow." I said, "Okay, man." He said, "Don't worry." He said, "Just do what you've been doing with, playing for the last couple of weeks and everything. Be cool."
And this is Tiny.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we got a studio, and they came up with this thing. Yeah. So, Red Price was there, and all the other guys. It was so. Tiny Bradshaw says, "I got something to tell you." He said, "I don't want you to panic, but I want you to use the brushes."
Yeah.
I said, I don't use sticks. I said, "How you gonna want me to propel this that has 7 pieces?"
And you want me to
strong
play
hall
brushes?
players. Yeah. He said, just play like you've been playing. He said, "I heard you at the Savoy, and you could swing this band with brushes. I know you can."
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay," and we started playing, and Red Prospect had that intro, where he said, "Boom, bang, da 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 da," start swinging right away.
Yeah.
Came out. That was a number one tune for weeks on Billboard.
That's right. And I think I saw somewhere that you were on the road for a while with Tiny, and he still wanted you on brushes, even live with that big band.
Yeah, he wanted that sound.
That seems like it would have been challenging.
Yeah,
with everybody at full volume and.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, it must have been something because we played up in Indiana at. In fact, I tell John Von Olen today, he doesn't remember, but we were playing we would play the first hour and Stan Kenton would play the second hour. And we were up there playing and swinging, the band was singing. I was still playing the brushes for those things. And Stan Kenton brought his rhythm section backstage. And he brought... had this bass player, I can't remember the name, good bass player.
I imagine.
He brought him up, he said, he told his guys, "See the way that those guys are swinging that rhythm section? That's the way I want you to play."
Pointing to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm playing brushes, man. But it's swinging.
Yeah.
The same thing happened in New York. We were playing at the St. Nicholas Arena, and this time it was Woody Herman.
Wow.
John Von Olen was there.
Watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And playing with Woody Herman.
Oh, I got you.
And Woody Herman came up and said, "I want you to play like they're playing. See how they're swinging? That's what I want."
Take note.
Yeah.
You were taking them to school.
I said, it must be true then. But it was hard. It was hard, because we did that maybe 3-4 hours a night. Hard work. Not that I didn't play. I played sticks too. I played sticks on some of the older things.
Yeah.
But the new recordings we did, And all with brushes.
Yeah. Tiny liked the sound of the brushes.
But that gave him his last fling at success before he died.
Yeah.
I felt good about that.
Yeah. He passed away, I think, in the early 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
He always thanked me for that, too, because I would ride with him sometimes. He traveled by car all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Come on, Phil, you know, you ride with me." So,
With the rest of the band in a bus? Or,
yeah, in cars or whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
meet him.
Yeah.
That's great. You guys were all around the country, traveling in the car? Yeah.
All over the country.
Oh, man. I'm sure there's
Tiny.
there's got to be countless stories, and that alone could be a book.
I don't know what Tiny did, but we'd say, like, we're going to California. Our first stop is going to be Chicago.
Oh, and so you went to California from Ohio in a car?
Yeah.
That's quite a road trip.
And played all the way along the way. You know? We did that going down south too. We did it going to New York. Sometimes we come back and we take the Eastern tour. We stop in Pittsburgh.
That's a book within itself.
Yeah. It's a story, man.
I'm sure, man, in every way.
I don't know how I survived all that. It was hard.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Any particular, whether it be any memorable experiences on those road trips with Tiny?
Yeah.
What were you guys driving? A Lincoln, or where were you guys?
Tiny always had a car, had a lot of extra things on it. He likes a lot of flash, you know.
Yeah.
He had like a rug in his car, like, you know.
Like a Persian rug?
Yeah.
I need to try that.
And he didn't buy like Lincolns. He bought maybe a Ford and had it made over, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All kind of gadgets and things on it, man. He's a weird dude when it came to cars.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did he have his name on the side? Or I've seen that. A lot of artists do that. Like,
no, he didn't have that, but he carried a sheriff's light thing. So if he get caught speeding anything, he dropped this on a policeman. So
were you guys in that situation where he had the flashlight?
Yeah.
And it worked?
Yeah. Yeah.
With Sheriff Bradshaw?
Never had any problems.
Really?
Yeah.
So he had a fake sheriff. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so he liked to speed.
Yeah. Like he'd get there, I don't know how he did it, but he would get there way before us. We'd get to the town and his car be parked in front of the hotel. We said, how the hell did he get here? Did he fly? Yeah. And driving in the car by himself most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did it.
Train kept it rolling.
Yeah. That's another tune. Boy. He knew how to get the house rocking.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
that tune is a gigantic tune. It's
Yeah.
been covered by you name it.
Yeah.
But you guys were the original.
Something else.
Wow. That's amazing. Sheriff Badge.
Mm-hmm.
On the road with Tiny Bradshaw.
Yeah.
From here to California. Where did you guys go? Was it L.A. or San Francisco?
L.A. and San Francisco.
That's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
And then back.
Yeah. We come back the other way. Go to.
And with more gigs on the way on the back end.
The front end, we'll stop at Las Vegas and play there. On the way back, we stop at Reno.
Yeah.
Play there.
Were you guys selling merchandise? Did you have records that you were selling on the road?
I don't know if he did or not. That wasn't that popular doing that.
Yeah.
You know.
That was later.
Yeah.
You were just doing the show. You were just playing the show. Yeah.
But I don't know how he did it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's hard to do now.
And yeah. I don't know how you do it. I was talking to Bobby about that. I said, well, I don't know.
We kind of make it up as we go, but that's...
You drive your own car?
What you guys did is sound... Yeah, a lot of times we'll have a trailer with our equipment. You know, here and then we'll fly, you know, and when they have a back line for us. But did they have back lines for you back then, or did you take your drums on the road?
I took my drums on the road. So... That's another thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And loaded in Tiny's car?
We had the station wagon.
Oh, yeah.
No, he wouldn't want any drums on his car. No, he wouldn't want that. But he'd...
Not on the rug, not on the Persian rug.
Because he wanted to get in town and
right.
drive around the town and have people say, "It's Tiny Bradshaw." Because you knew he was somebody, because he had that show business thing about him, you know.
That's a thing, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't mean to backtrack, but like I was curious about the early, like real early days, playing say the Savoy Ballroom, and getting your drums there. Did they have drums, or did you put them on a subway, or did your father help out?
I carried them on the subway.
You carried them on the subway, yeah.
In fact, I was telling somebody about that.
All Russian doll style stacked in with the kick drum? Or?
I had cases, you know. I don't know how I carried them.
That's a lot of work.
You know, because, like, the subways weren't on every corner. You'd have to go 116th Street on 8th Avenue for the subway for the west side.
You weren't worn out by the time you get to the gig.
You know? And then people were honest then. Yeah? I mean, you do that now, somebody hold you up and kill you and take your equipment. You know, nobody bothered you. Except for one time. I was playing, I forgot where I was playing, but I got off 116th Street on 8th Avenue. And I live on the east side, so I had to walk to the east side. And I was walking between Lenox and 7th Avenue, and somebody dropped a bag of urine out the window.
Oh, wow.
I'm saying some kids did this. Because, you walk down the street and you walk close to the houses. Somebody dropped it all over my head.
Oh.
I was so angry. Nobody tried to hurt me. Other than that, I never had anything stolen. Never.
Hey, knock on wood.
Yeah. And at that time I had a big bass drum, so I had a big cover, and that was a lot to carry.
Yeah.
I'd carry the bass drum with this hand, and the case with this hand, and a tom-tom slung around my neck.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it.
That's a challenge in itself, just to get to the gig.
Must have been crazy, man.
I was wondering about how it worked those days. If your dad, took
you
you
guys got it easy now. And even when I was with Roy Merriweather, we drove all the way to San Francisco.
Yeah.
We cut a record. It was called Oscar-winning something. Anyway.
Yeah.
The best tunes of the Oscar-winning pictures, and it was quite a hit, So we started in Chicago. We went to play the jazz club in Chicago. Then we go to the next city until we got to San Francisco. We played the Trident in Sausalito.
Yeah.
Driving all the way.
That was that a little later on, like in the 60s? Or
yeah.
Because I know Roy Merriweather, and did you guys ever play Jilly's in Dayton?
Yeah, all the time.
Do you remember Jerry Gelati?
Yeah.
I still talk to Jerry.
Yeah. Tell him about me. He remember me.
I just talked to him the other day. I need to tell him that I've been getting to spend time with you. But I read a story about you with Roy Merriweather, and I think you guys were doing a gig in New York City, and you're playing, and you feel a tug on your pant leg, and you look down, and it's Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
while you're playing.
Yeah. And he asked me to join his band.
What an offer! That's
You know what? I was loyal to Roy because we'd rehearsed for months for that trip
right
to San Francisco.
That's right.
And I didn't want to leave him like that. And, I told Duke's manager, I said, I can't make it. He said, why? And I told him. He said that's a good reason, man.
Yeah.
That
That's says
very
a lot.
Noble of you.
Yeah, that says a lot about you because here comes along the one of the greats. But that says that's great.
Where did you read that at?
Man, I've been digging into the books, going to Cincinnati and just online and liner notes of your album, and somewhere along the line I read that. But I've seen Roy's name a lot over the years because my band's played Jilly's a lot, and I'll see him on the marquee.
Yeah.
And so I was curious.
We talk a lot right now. He lives in New York. Like he lives in New York now.
Yeah.
And I'm here.
Yeah.
we talking about once every couple of months.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if you wanna have something to eat.
Let's break, man. That's a lot right there, man.
See, baby, see what you have done, Lord and Mama. No need to worry, see, baby, see what you have done. Well, you told me a lie, now your man have come. The man you got don't love, yes, and he told me so. Lord and Mama, no need to worry, your man don't love you. Oh, and he told me so. He's only jiving you, baby. He's in love with a girl next door. Well,